On Cape Cod, we are surrounded by water. It is beautiful, but it is also in trouble. Excess nitrogen in Cape Cod's bays and estuaries causes poor water quality, degraded habitat, and closures of beaches and shellfish areas. Wastewater is the biggest contributor to nitrogen loading, but stormwater also plays a part.
About 80% of the nitrogen loading into the three bays is from our wastewater source, but about 20% is from fertilizers and stormwater. So while it's not the largest piece of the pie, it is a piece that might be more manageable and more cost-effective for us to address. And so this project is specifically targeting stormwater and fertilizers.
The Association to Preserve Cape Cod is leading a $1.2 million project to mitigate stormwater damage in Barnstable's Three Bays watershed.
One thing we're really trying to do is go beyond traditional stormwater management. So using these what we call green infrastructure systems, where you combine plants and soil media, we can actually get more of those pollutants, nitrogen and bacteria, out of our runoff before it gets into the waters. But that's a different thing, both for the towns and the public. So a big part of all of these meetings and the project is to continue to educate people about what those are and how they work and how they can create similar things like simple rain gardens on their properties to do the same thing.
Making things happen out in the environment that shouldn't be happening at the very fast speed. We're fertilizing the environment, overproducing things that, are important to grow out there, but sometimes when you get an abundance of something, it has negative effects. So the idea is we're trying to prevent those negative effects and have a much cleaner environment, healthier for not just, the organisms that live out there, the fish and the shellfish, but also us human beings that go out there and enjoy those waterways so that we can continue enjoying them.
Several stormwater treatment systems were put in place last year, and as work on Phase 2 begins, the team is updating the public and gathering input.
A big part of this project for us is not only to address the water quality issue, but engage the public because they're really the end users of our coastal waters and our fresh water. One thing we've found too is a lot of these sites, they're well treasured by the community. They're actively used, heavily used. So we want to not only get that water quality treatment through stormwater management, but also improve the site for the public.
We want to hear from them, and then we want their feedback on the sites that we've found to see if there are any complications that they can think of and let us know before we get too far along in design. We really hope to build ownership with the people that live in these communities with these practices.
One goal is to raise awareness by placing things like rain gardens in public places.
One thing we did very early in the project was install a rain garden at the Osterville Library. It's very central. It's right downtown there. We had volunteers who came out from the day, from AmeriCorps, some kids and families. They actually came out and helped us dig that small hole, plant in the new plants, and at the end it wasn't raining that day, but we put a garden hose to show how the water comes down through the gutter and fills into that system. And that's there. We created nice little brochures. We work really closely with the director from the library there in the town. So it's kind of an ongoing opportunity to show people what you can do on a small scale and kind of on that small scale what these larger systems are meant to do as well.
The project is working. Systems have been installed and improved. Drainage areas have been addressed, resulting in 70% bacteria loss and 55% nitrogen removal. Several more sites have been identified.
We are going to take about 2 to 4 sites forward, and we're going to construct at least 2 of those sites.
Each one we knock off and we actually get done and improve is one less that we have to look at. But the great thing about this whole program is we have funding now to do only so many, but as funding comes available, we'll be able to pull something right off the shelf and go right in there and get the funding and get it done.
The 5-year, $1.2 million stormwater management project began in 2016. The Association to Preserve Cape Cod is working with the town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Clean Water Coalition, the Horsley-Witten Group, and the Barnstable Land Trust to improve water quality in the Three Bays watershed. For Cape Media News, I'm Sarah Colvin.